Hey, are you a busy parent? Do you feel like you're being pulled in multiple directions all at once? Are you exhausted and overwhelmed? I'm Tanikella. I'm a pediatrician, expert in mind-body medicine, and life coach. I can help you break free from guilt and overwhelm so that you can enjoy the life that you've worked so hard to create. I can also teach you how to support your family in a more holistic way. Welcome to I Am Well MD. This is episode 17, and today we're going to talk about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. I know, it sounds completely boring, but stay with me because I feel like this is something that is really worth talking about. So the American College of Lifestyle Medicine identifies 6 pillars for wellness, and these include good nutrition, restorative sleep, activity or exercise, depending on how you want to phrase that, stress reduction, social connection, and avoidance of toxic substances. So I know that all sounds very obvious. Like, yes, if we are good in each of these departments, then we will have extraordinary health, right? Well, we've always known that. And now we have science to back each one of these areas. And I think that that's really cool. So today is going to be one of a series of episodes where we talk about wellness in each of these departments. I mean, when I have patients in the office, it is impossible to talk in depth about each one of these. And I feel like, gosh, this is like so fundamental, right? I wish the American healthcare system could make space for this because I think this would solve a lot of our problems, to be honest, especially when it comes to chronic disease and just feelings of unwellness. So today I'm just going to be keeping it simple. We're going to talk about nutrition, and I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of a pediatrician. I'm not going to go into dietitian level stuff. So if you're looking for calorie counting and grams of protein and grams of fat that are allowable, I'm not your person. I think for that, a registered dietitian would be best. But for all intents and purposes here, when it comes to nutrition within the family unit, a common discussion that we have is with regards to how we balance our meals. In America, we have something called the standard American diet. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty awful. It is the diet that we started to see more of in the late 70s and early 80s, which is characterized by a whole lot more processed foods. When I think about it from a bird's eye view perspective, that period of time was when a lot of families started to go from a single income family to a dual income family where both parents are now working. And what that meant was that there wasn't enough time to be able to cook food. So foods of convenience became really important so that we could get through day-to-day life. The kids are fed, the parents are happy, everybody goes to sleep at a decent time, and we repeat the next day. Well, here's what happened. We didn't know what the science was back then about packaged foods. And when you think about it, these packaged foods are allowed to stay on the shelves for months and months and months on end because of the things that are in them, largely preservatives. And those are just not great for us, right? It's far-fetched to think that our bodies can process that properly. So same thing with pesticides. Yes, we can eat them, but does that mean that there are no repercussions afterwards? And I would venture to say that yes, there are absolutely repercussions that come from that. So when I talk to families about reducing their intake of packaged foods, I literally will refer to these foods as astronaut food. Why? Because when astronauts go into outer space, they need food, and they need food that will not go bad. And so we here on Earth don't actually need to eat astronaut food. We have fresh fruits, we have fresh vegetables, and we are able to cook. This is fabulous. All good news. What the American College of Lifestyle Medicine recommends is a whole foods, plant-based diet. Okay, what does that mean in English? Whole foods. Whole foods refers to unprocessed or minimally processed foods. Think of it this way. All the stuff in the middle of the supermarket on the shelves that don't need to be refrigerated, most likely those are highly processed foods. But when you go around the periphery of the store, right, you go through the produce section and you go through the dairy aisle and meats, poultry, eggs, those are the foods that are a little bit more fresh and probably a little bit more easily digestible. Our balance should look like this. Half of our plates should have fruits and vegetables on it, more vegetables than fruits. A quarter of it should be protein and about a quarter of it should be carb. Can we accomplish that every single meal, every single day? Hopefully, that would be ideal. And then there's reality. The reality is that we don't always have time to have these wonderfully balanced meals. So I tell my families, imagine that you have a giant plate, right? And that on this giant plate, you put all of the foods from the whole day onto it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. The breakdown should look like that. Half of it should be fruits and vegetables, a quarter protein, a quarter carb. Okay, proteins include beans and legumes, tofu, tempeh, lentils, beans, poultry, and meats. Carbs include bread, pasta, mashed potatoes, basically your starchy foods, rice. So if you think of this giant plate as what your breakdown for the day needs to look like, then if your breakfast is a little carby, then make sure you have a good, decent lunch, and then your snacks can be fruits and vegetables, right? So you could see where we can give and take from the meals a little bit to be able to achieve that balance as best as we can, okay? The other piece is punishment. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you guys how often I hear this. When I have a child in the office who is getting to the point where their BMI is indicating that there's concern for being overweight. And I say, hey, let's talk about scaling back on your sugary drinks, your sweets, your high carb foods, your packaged foods. The comments that I've gotten in the past where what they say is, well, I don't want to punish the other child. The other child is just fine. Okay, the fact that we even think of this as a punishment is a problem. In what world do we think that scaling back on unhealthy foods is a punishment? Scaling back on unhealthy foods is a gift. It's a gift that we give to our children, and that means it's a gift that we give to our children for generations to come, right? Our children, our children's children, and the children after that. Why? Because we have created a habit in which we are empowering our children. We are teaching them a healthy way of living. The foods that we eat can influence our bodies in that they turn on certain genes and turn off other genes. And these can lead to health or not so healthy things, right? Depending on which genes we turn on and off, this could lead to chronic disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. That's what our generation has seen. Like, I grew up on Pop-Tarts. I know. But we didn't know anything back in the 80s. We didn't know that Pop-Tarts weren't good for us. And I mean, we're so convenient, right? But now we know, and knowledge is power. So this is what kind of goofed up the 80s and 90s for us. But those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s, we look back at our childhoods and we're like, well, I ate that and nothing bad happened to me. And yet here we are with obesity and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and, heart attacks at an earlier age. So something did happen. Something did shift. It just took a long time for us to see it. Wouldn't it be a gift rather than a punishment to give our kids this newfound knowledge of what a healthy lifestyle could look like? That we don't have to have a big piece of cake. We don't have to have apple juice at every meal. They're just not necessary. There is no nutritional value to these things. These are things to think about as we move forward in our individual lives. It's okay to have more vegetables. they're a gift. Maybe they're not packaged like a gift. Maybe they're not all colorful and fancy. Maybe they don't have the preservatives and high fructose corn syrup and the food dyes that all these other foods around us have. But that is the gift that they offer, right? Each of these fruits and vegetables have what's called phytonutrients, which we cannot find in processed foods. So bank on it. This is the return on investment. Make it happen. The last piece is convenience, right? How do we make this convenient for us? Because it can be a bit of work when it's compared to grabbing Doritos out of the pantry, right? Try to pick 1 or 2 days per week where you can actually wash everything, cut everything up, and put them into little containers so that your kids and you can grab them quickly and easily right out of the fridge, right? That makes it as convenient as packaged foods. Or if you really don't have time, think about getting those platters of fruits and vegetables from the supermarket. They're there, they're available, or the ones that are already cut and washed. I mean, while I would recommend still washing them again, they're at least already, the work is done, half the battle's over. So hopefully this helps, and let's all as a group move towards a healthier future. Until next time, be well. If you've liked what you heard, give us a 5-star rating and share this podcast with a friend. If you want to learn more information about Dr. Tanikella and what she does, visit her at imwellmd.com and subscribe to her email list. If you'd like to get coached, she has programs for you and the whole family.